Hi, this is Bill from MessickStove on YouTube and MessickStove.com, and today I wanted to go over the hot water, domestic hot water loop and the EnergyMax 160. This domestic hot water loop is available in the 110 and some of the other models stoves as well, like the one, the Cozy Kings, the 120 stove, and any of the stoves that are able to use the hot water stainless steel loop from the DNS machine stoves is available, can basically do the same process that we're getting ready to go over in a few minutes here. I do apologize in advance for any shakiness in the camera. I am holding it by hand. The purpose of that is to walk you through the water system here and how it works. I'm just starting out with the stove. As you can see, to the left and the back, you will notice there's a tank that's called the hot rod tank, and you'll see some copper pipes going into it and out of it, and also in a gauge on top, which I'll go over here in a minute. And basically how this works is you're heating your home with the stove. Okay, we already talked about the EnergyMax 160 stove and the low temperatures going out the exhaust and how well this thing will heat your whole home. And like I said, my house is 78 degrees. Right now, being this close to the stove, well, we're hitting probably about 93 degrees where I'm standing now. And just to give you an idea, now the stove temperature, we're going to get ready to go over here in a second, is about 400, there we go, 499, so we'll say close to 500 degrees. Stove top temperatures about 335, and the stove pipe temperatures is 140 to 141, and up here as well we'll do some temperatures like 125, 126 it was, or something. Anyway, just want to give you some temperatures before we get started, and just to show you the temperature here, it's like 92.3, so it's about 93 degrees. Do apologize for swinging you around here. There's another look at the tank. It's a 40-gallon hot rod tank. You'll see some more plumbing in the back here, which I'm going to walk you through here in a minute. The best way to do this, let's start at the hot water heater. I do apologize in advance for some of my soldering abilities or sweating the pipes, and I'm doing a lot of this stuff in a hurry, and I'm not really impressed with some of the joints I've done, but it is what it is, and I'm just going to show it anyway. It's the concept that we're concerned with, not necessarily my ability or not ability to sweat and make it look pretty here. But as you can see, this is my hot water heater. I have the hot going out on top. Let's talk about this. This is a mixing valve. Okay, not really impressed with this, my soldering ability, but we already talked about that. So if you're able to set it high or lower, and I put a date on it, and when I set it, and it's set to 120 degrees. Now it's 120 degrees of hot water that's going to the house. Okay, and the other side is the cold water coming into the hot water heater, and it has a little link coming across there, going the cold mixing into the hot, allowing only 120 to go to the top. Now showing you that, the water coming from the stove tank on the other side, next to the tank next to the stove, is about right now like 130. It's almost like 135, 140, somewhere in there. Okay. Now someone's actually running the water upstairs. You can see, you might even hear the sound of the water running, but you can see the pressure just dropped to 30. The well kicked in. Now the pressure's going to go back up. But just let you know that this is how it works. Now, that's the hot side going back, and then there's the cold side at the bottom going coming from the tank. Now how we start this is, this may be a multi-part video here, so do apologize. The bottom, let's start the bottom with the drain. There's a drain there, if you notice, you can see it, and the drain was removed temporarily to put a T in it, a nipple in the T, and then put the drain back on and bring in the copper pipe. Now that's the cold water, or the cold end, that's going to run from here into the bottom of the loop in the back of the stove. Okay. Now back to the top, I should be doing this in sequence, is the safety valve. Our safety valve on the end is also removed. Put a nipple, put a T back in there, and then put the hot water safety valve back on. You must have this hot water safety valve on your hot water heater to keep your house from becoming damaged by an explosion. Basically, you're creating could create a bomb with a hot water heater and literally go through completely through your house, through your roof, and up into the air, and possibly land on your neighbor's house if you're close enough. Hot water is coming back, okay, from the tank, as what you're seeing coming into the side here. Okay, there's several different ways to hook this up. The main thing is to get the water to circulate naturally. There's no circulators on this system, meaning that I don't have a circulator pump. This is water's moving naturally from one tank through the stove to the other. Okay, now if you look down here, there's not much of a lighting. You can probably see back down to the stove. There's some pipes running back and forth. Hopefully we get a good shot of that. Let's go back to the stove. There's the pipes. The top one is the hot water that we talked about. It's going into the top of the hot water heater, and then the bottom is the cold coming out of the bottom on the cold side of the hot water heater, which we have the drain. Now let's follow the cold line. The cold line, in my situation, how I set it up was, the cold line is going to tee off here. So I'm putting some of the colder water also back into the bottom of that tank, the hot rod tank over there, just to help get some heat or circulation, you know, to move if it actually is going to flow through there. Now hot water actually rises, okay? So even if I'm trying to get hot water into the bottom of that tank, and the hot water will not flow down, okay? It will flow up. So there's a few things you got to be careful of how you hook that up. But anyway, this is just what I did. And if water doesn't move through it, I'm still okay. But the hot water loop on the bottom, the cold water goes in through the stove, like we talked about, okay? And then it comes out of the top, okay? And this is the top line is coming out, and I have this shut off now, okay? I used to have it going directly back to the hot water heater. Now I'm actually heating 70 gallons of hot water instead of just the 32 in original, okay? So now I have a T here that's sending the hot water up, okay, and into the hot rod tank next to the stove. And if you can see, it also has a T on it with a safety valve on it. All my safety valves are tied into a drain system that I put in. Okay, that white drain you see through here. And also I tied my drain valves into it, so if I ever have to drain the tanks at the end of the season, I can drain them, and it goes into the drain system. Makes life easier than having water all over the floor. Now the water's coming out of the top of the tank. Okay, like I said, don't pay attention to the solder, and it is what it is. So water comes down. Now hot water normally is not going to drop like it's showing here, but in this case, because of the circulation, the hot water is already at the top of the tank. Okay, so once you use water, it's already at the top, so it does create a flow. It will work. Now that hot water comes out the top, down the tank, okay, back here. Now we got the shut-off valve coming out of the top of the stove, and that hot tube goes all the way back and back into the hot water heater. Now naturally this is circulating on its own, okay, and the top piece, the bottom pipe, okay, I can put my hand on it. All right, I can hold my hand on this copper, okay, even getting closer to the stove, okay, I can put my hand on this, okay. That means it's circulating. The cold water is going in. Okay, now this is the interesting part. I cannot put my hand on the copper tubing on top, okay. Even if I come all the way back down here, like 4 or 5 foot away, I cannot put my hand on it. That means the hot water is hot on the top, which is correct, that's what we want, and the lower water on the bottom is the cooler water, cold water. So the system's actually circulating fine, and there's no issues with the circulation. Now if the bottom pipe was hot, okay, that means that it's backing up. You're not got a correct circulation. That means it's not hooked up correctly, and you can have some issues. Okay, so you need to actually make sure the bottom pipe is always going to be cooler than the top one. Okay, now let's talk about temperatures. Right now, it's about 150 degrees according to the gauge, and shooting it with a laser is about 145, 144. Now when we come down to where it goes in the colder side of it, you notice it's only about 100 degrees, okay, 101. Now occasionally, usually this water in this tank, in this system, rides between 150, okay, what it is now, to 180, okay, on the top side. Naturally, with no circulation, or circulator, excuse me, natural circulation with no circulator pumps, it's able to circulate the water through both two tanks, okay. Now it's over 14 foot away. If you notice, the pipe